Hi, this is Usha. Welcome to Rathod Science classes. Today in this lecture, we are going to see current affairs of 21st October 2021. In this lecture, we are going to discuss 8 topics which are very much relevant to UPSC. So let's get started with our discussion and let us see the list of the topics now we are going to discuss in this lecture. So first topic it is about Maharashtra firm sold GM contaminated rice. So yesterday we studied about background of this GM crops and what are the advantages. Everything we discussed regarding this GM crops. So if you have missed yesterday's lecture, so please watch yesterday's lecture. That article I discussed in first itself. So this article says that Maharashtra firm sold this GM contaminated rice. So this article will be important from Science and Technology, which comes under our GS paper 3. And next topic is about pandemic fueled rise in child sexual abuse online. Okay, so this report mainly says that there is increasing of child sexual abuse during this pandemic. And this article is important from our GS paper 2 under society. Next topic is about Army strengthens firepower along LAC in eastern sector. So along eastern sector regarding this Tawang region, so there is increasing of our firepower. So this article is important from international relations point of view and even security. And next topic is about high fuel prices or high oil prices will sap global economy. So now we are seeing there is increasing of prices for petrol and as well as diesel. So because of this transportation cost have been increased. So because of increasing of this transportation cost, entire all goods and services cost will be increased, right? So because of this, it mainly lacks economic recovery. So this article is important from our economy point of view, which comes under GS paper 3. And next topic is India may see salaries rise by 9.3 percentage in 2022. It is talking about salaries rise. So it is important from GS paper 3 under economy. And next topic is about COP26, that is Conference of Parties 26. So there is one article regarding the COP26 in our page number 6. Actually, once this summit had happened, okay, then we can get much more editorials. And now, as of now, we are going to discuss what is the COP26. That's it, and not at all we are going to discuss about what are the details. So once this is done means, so there will be a number of articles that will be coming up in newspaper. Then we are going to discuss that. This topic will be important from our environment and ecology. Next topic is about GM rice, genetically modified rice. So there is one analysis regarding yesterday's topic. So we are going to see that. That will be important from our science and technology point of view. And even we can connect this topic with our economy also, which will comes under GS paper 3. And next topic here is National Security Policy, NSP. So this is one interesting topic I found in this today's newspaper. So we are going to discuss that. That will be important from our polity, which comes under GS paper 2. So now let us try to see first topic. Title says Maharashtra firm sold GM contaminated rice. So this article says that who is the black sheep here is Maharashtra firm. So firm from Maharashtra sold this GM contaminated rice. So already we know what is the background, everything, right? So even in GM rice article that we are going to discuss at last, in that also we are going to see background. So as of now, let us stick to what is given in this article. So if you see context, it mainly says that Center has identified Maharashtra-based exporter. He is the source of broken rice flagged in Europe as contaminated with genetically modified. Okay, so Maharashtra-based exporter exported this GM contaminated rice, broken rice, that is small pieces of rice. So this is the thing which mainly said by our Commerce Ministry. So if you see some details, it mainly says that about 500 tons of consignment was given a non-GMO certification by independent agency, but it also contaminated with this genetically modified rice. Okay, so this is the thing which mainly said. So because of this, now government mainly asked this IAR, that is Indian Agriculture Research Institute, mainly to investigate regarding this. So this is gist of this topic, and now let us move on to next topic. Title says pandemic fueled rise in child sexual abuse online. So one report mainly says that report name is the Global Threat Assessment Report. Global Threat Assessment Report 2021 mainly says that there is increasing of child sexual abuse. So now let's try to see this topic in a very great detail. So if you see context, it mainly says that the Global Threat Assessment Report 2021 released, and this is mainly released by We Protect Global Alliance. It mainly said that COVID-19 contributed to increase or significant spike in this child sexual exploitation and abuse. So now let us try to see some details of this report. So here, We Protect Global Alliance, it is a global movement of more than 200 governments, and also it includes private sector companies and also even civil society organizations, and they are mainly working together to transform global response to child sex exploitation. So here, what is this We Protect Global Alliance? It is a global movement of more than 200 countries. It also includes private sector companies and also even civil society organizations, and they are mainly trying to work together, okay, mainly to bring some changes in child sexual exploitation. And this report, it is a meta study which mainly found out multiple international study on issue, and finally it said that due to this COVID-19 there is increasing of this child sexual abuse cases. So these findings of this report mainly says that in past 2 years the reporting of child sexual exploitation and online abuse has been reached at a highest level. So due to this COVID-19 pandemic, what happened, every child, they had mobile phones in their hand. So they say that they are mainly attending online classes, or to come up with any courses they need mobile, right? So whenever parents are offering mobile, so there is also increase in the case of sexual exploitation also. So this COVID-19 created a perfect storm of conditions, and even this COVID-19 fueled a rise in child sexual exploitation as well. Child sexual exploitation has been increased, and also even abuse across the globe. So if you're talking about cause of concern here is, so there is self-generated sexual material is one of the cause of concern. That is, children, they are mainly generating their self-generated sexual material. It is one of the important trend. So this is one of the important challenge, right? So here Internet Watch Foundation. So here Internet Watch Foundation mainly observed that 77% of increase in child sex generated sexual material that had been seen from 2019 to 2020. So between these years, so there is increasing of child sex self-generated sexual material. So if we are talking about this study, so as part of the report, the global study of childhood experiences of more than 5,000 young adults who are mainly between age group of 18 to 20 years across 54 countries, they mainly done by Economist Impact. So study mainly includes 5,000 young adults who are aged between 18 to 20 years and across 54 countries, and about this 54% of respondents, they had experienced at least one online sexual harm incident during this childhood. During this childhood, what happened? 54% of the respondents, they had experienced at least one online sexual harm incident. So more than a third of respondents, for example 34% of respondents, they had been asked to do something sexually explicit online, okay, sexual material, but they are very much uncomfortable, okay, with their childhood. So this is the thing which mainly highlighted in this report. And as well as this report says that, so respondents who are especially transgenders or non-binary or LGBTQ plus community or disabled people, they experience mainly online sexual harms during this childhood. They are more likely to have sexual harms, okay. And next one is during the pandemic. So the National Center for Missing and Exploited Children, that is NCMEC, indicated 106% of increase in reports of suspected child sexual exploitation to its global cyber tip line. So what happened here? This NCMEC, that is National Center for Missing and Exploited Children, so they indicated about 106% of increase in reports of suspected child sexual exploitation. There is suspected child sexual exploitation that is seen to its global cyber tip line. And during the lockdown, there are about 95% of increase in researchers. Mainly, for example, I can say like there is increasing of 95% of searches for child sexual abuse material in online. So these are some key findings of the study. So what is the need? What can be done? So first one is we need to prioritize prevention activities like abuse, and we need to create safe online environments for children, and we need to call for a role of protection of children, okay. So these are some steps that can be taken. This is just of this topic. And now let us move on to next topic. It is about Army strengthens firepower along this LAC in eastern sector. Okay, so these are some important guns. Okay, so the name of this is Howitzer. So this is image of Howitzer. So along this Tawang region, there is increasing of our firepower. So why? Because across this eastern sector, we are having some disputes with China regarding border. And across this border, China also started development of cities and as well as villages, and is coming up with different infrastructure projects. So because of this, we need to guard our borders. So it is very important for our security of our country. So here in this context, Army mainly strengthens firepower along LAC in eastern sector. So now let us try to see this topic in a very great detail. If you're talking about context, it mainly says that the Army has significantly augmented its firepower along 1300 kilometers line of actual control in eastern sector. Okay, so Army has significantly augmented firepower along 1300 kilometers of line of actual control in eastern sector, while also beefing up overall defenses in the region, especially the Tawang sector, by integrating various services in real time through automation. So what happens here is in eastern sector. In eastern sector, what is the thing? So there is a dispute with China regarding border. So China is coming up with development of villages across this border, and also China is coming up with different infrastructure projects along this Indo-China border in eastern sector. So China is claiming entire Arunachal Pradesh, right? So because of this, it is our responsibility of Government of India, especially Indian Army, to safely maintain borders. Mainly for the maintaining of borders, Army is strengthening firepower along this LAC in eastern sector. So Army has significantly augmented its firepower along 1300 line of actual control in eastern sector. So we are mainly coming up with overall defenses in the region, especially in this Tawang sector. So if you're talking about the details, it mainly says that, so Army came up with upgrading of L-70 air defense guns and as well as M777 ultra light harvesters. So the image I showed, it is about this M777 ultra light harvesters, and as well as automated and electronic fusion of Bofors and other artillery guns deployed along LAC region. So these are the things which are mainly done by our Army. Army has set up integrated defended localities at several locations along this LAC region, and these integrate mainly various arms of army such as infantry, engineers, artillery, air defense, and as well as aviation. Okay, and if you see here, our Major Johnson, he said that they were primarily two approaches for the enemy to move towards Tawang. So those two important routes are, so first one is valley after ridge line of LAC, and second one here is road. It is from Bumla to Tawang region. So if you see, where is this Bumla, it is present here, we have this Bumla pass. So this is the road which is connecting here Tawang. So this is the second important route. And now let us see first one. First one here is, we have this ridge here. Okay, so through this way, so there is a connectivity to this area. Okay, and here we have this Bumla to Tawang, and as well as here this valley to Tawang, like this. So these are the two important routes that can come by the enemy. So whenever we are strengthening these routes, then we will mainly contain entry of enemies, or we can dominate this area, and this would mainly help to counter enemy plans. So this is about map. And if you are talking about some facts regarding this howitzers, okay, howitzers, that is M777 ultralight howitzers, they inducted in November 2018, and they have deployed all along the LAC region. So they are mainly 155 mm and 39 caliber towed artillery gun, and they weigh just 4 tons. Okay, and they have significant flexibility in employment options, and as well as they will be having long range firepower also. So these are some important facts that you need to know regarding this M777 ultra light howitzers. And let us try to see next topic. It is about high oil prices. High oil prices will sap global recovery. So it is mainly talking about oil prices. So now let us try to talk about this topic, and this will be important from our economy point of view. If you see context, mainly says that India, the world's third largest energy consumer, that is, we are mainly importing our energy regarding oil from other countries, especially from West Asian countries, right? So India, the world's third largest energy consumer, on Wednesday warned that high oil prices will undermine global economic recovery, and nudged Saudi Arabia and other OPEC nations to work towards affordable and reliable suppliers. So what happened here? There is increasing of oil prices, that is in especially diesel and as well as petrol. So petrol price is increasing as well as diesel price is increasing, and people who are mainly dependent on this transportation sector, they mainly hit a lot. Why? Because if they want to go or they want to carry so and so goods from one place to another place, earlier petrol rate, okay, for liter it is 8 rupees. Let us take this example, and now it is 110 rupees per liter. So there is increasing of 30 rupees per liter. So from any contractor, he is getting contract to take these goods, and that to be delivered to so and so place. So earlier they used to get at least 3000 rupees as a profit for a trip, but now because of increasing of this fuel prices, they are not getting even 1000 rupees. So this is a fact I am saying. I saw what is happening in this transport sector, so because of this I am telling this thing. And not only this, so in this way this is exploiting this transportation people, and even what happened, these people, they are also adding that cost. So because of this, there is also increasing of price as well in the market. So in this way, what happened here, normal people, they were mainly affected, that is normally poor people. So if we're talking about details, it mainly says that petrol and diesel prices, they have hit record highs across the country after relentless price increasing since May. Since May onwards, there is increasing of price of this crude oil. So because of this increase in the price of this crude oil, there is increase in the price of petrol and as well as diesel in the market. So if energy prices remains high means the global economic recovery will be undermined, because whenever there is increasing the price of this petrol and as well as diesel, entire price of the goods and services in the market will be decreased. So because of increasing the price of the goods and services in the market, so people they will be not interested to opt for those goods because of high prices. So because of this, that will lead to decreasing of our economic activity. Finally, that will not achieve our dream of economic recovery after this COVID-19 pandemic. So if you're talking about background, it mainly says that global oil prices crashed to $19 per barrel. Okay, crashed to $19 per barrel in April 2020. So in April 2020, what happened? So due to this COVID-19 pandemic, almost all countries they imposed lockdown. So because of this, there is no demand for this crude oil in the market. So because of this, so these countries which are producing oil, they decrease the price. Okay, there is a crash of prices, that is $19 per barrel. Okay, and later on in after this April 2020, now since May onwards, there is increase in the demand for this crude oil because vaccination had been done in most of the countries, and what happened, revival of economic activities that is happening. So because of this, there is increase in demand for this oil. So now international benchmark Brent crude, which is mainly at $84 per barrel here. So earlier it was very much less, now it is very much more. So because of this, whatever the import bill that we are paying after getting this crude oil is increased 3 to 4 times. Earlier we used to pay that just $8.8 billion in month of June, 8.8 billion in June 2020, and now it became to $24 billion now. So we can say from $8.8 billion to now we increased our payment. Okay, oil import bill, that is $24 billion means you can imagine so how much impact that is seen on Indian economy due to this increasing of oil prices. And as you all know that energy is very much essential and as well as crucial for development of country. So India mainly believes energy is access, that is to be reliable, affordable and as well as sustainable way. So economic recovery after a devastating pandemic which had been fragile, and it was further being threatened by a very high price as well. So in this context, if you are talking about some important facts, India mainly imports about 2/3 of oil needs, crude oil from West Asian countries. And also if you see, we are getting oil especially from OPEC countries, that is Organization of Petroleum Exporting Countries. That high crude prices was hastening the transition to alternate fuels, and as well as such rates will counterproductive for the producers. So whenever there is increasing of oil prices, and what happened here, countries which are importing large amount of this oil from those countries, they will be going for diverting, right? They will be moving towards alternate methods of alternate fuels, right? So in this way, what happened, that will be also having some negative effects on countries which are mainly producing this oil, especially those countries depends upon their oil economy. So this is gist of this topic. And now let us move on to next topic. Title says India may see salaries rise by 9.3% in 2022. So this article mainly talking about salaries hike. So this will be important from our GS paper 3. And if you are talking about recent report which mainly released, that is Willis Towers Watson. So according to this Willis Towers Watson, it mainly says that higher salaries in India are making a comeback with 9.3% hike. So they are coming up with 9.3% hike, and we are expected to be done in year 2022. So this is a thing which mainly said by this Willis Towers Watson. And now let us try to see some important details. There is nothing much to discuss here, but we have to see this. So salaries, they are projected to see median salary increase of 9.3% next year when compared to that of actual salary increase of 8% in 2021. So now we are expecting to increase to 9.3%. So this is according to Salary Budget Planning Report. And India mainly projected salary increase, it is the highest in Asia Pacific for next year. So if you are comparing with entire Asia Pacific region, we can see salary increase that will be highest in India. So these are some important things that mainly said in this topic. And I hope it is clear. Now let us move on to next topic. Title says the carbon markets conundrum at COP26, that is Conference of Parties 26. So we are not going to see what should be debate. Okay, what is the path ahead? So we are going to understand what is a COP26, and after once the COP26 is done, so there will be many articles that will be coming up in your newspaper. So here we are going to discuss after this once the COP26 is done in month of November. So now let us try to see this topic. So this topic is important from our environment and ecology. So if we are talking about this COP26, it is next annual UN Climate Change Conference. It is Climate Change Conference. Actually, this summit used to be done in 2020, but due to this COVID-19 pandemic, which had been postponed. Okay, so this COP26, it is mainly annual United Nations Climate Change Conference. So this COP stands for Conference of Parties, and this summit will be attended by the countries. So those countries which sign this UNFCCC, that is United Nations Framework Convention on Climate Change. So this treaty which mainly came into force in 1994. So if we are talking about this 26th COP summit, that is 26th Conference of Parties Summit, and it will be hosted in partnership between UK and Italy. So this conference will be held in Glasgow from 1st to 12th November 2021, and it is a year later than planned due to delays caused by this COVID-19 pandemic. So due to these delays which mainly caused by this COVID-19 pandemic, so this conference, it is mainly held from 1st to 12th November. After this summit is done, there will be number of articles that will be coming up in your newspaper. So we are going to discuss that. So now let us try to see which are the areas of action that we need in next coming up 30 years. First one is we need to move towards our renewable energy. And next one is there is a target of 13% of hydrogen in final energy, including as a fuel for industry and transport. And next one is we need to transform bioenergy with liquid biofuels, and we need to surpass petroleum products by 2040. And next one is we need to focus on energy efficient and as well as lower carbon choices, right? So we need to adopt technologies, and as well as we need to improve energy intensity per unit of GDP by almost 60% by 2050. And later on we need to adopt economic mechanisms, for example carbon pricing, to drive the reallocation of capital and resources, and we need to support the commercialization of new fuels and as well as technologies. And next one is we need to remove unavoidable emissions. For example, we need to capture and store 400 megatons of carbon dioxide. Okay, we need to capture and store 400 megatons of carbon dioxide, because this carbon dioxide is one of important cause for global warming. And when we want to decrease temperature here, so we need to decrease this carbon dioxide emissions, and as well as we need to capture this carbon dioxide. And we need to remove 0.9 gigatons of carbon dioxide by years 2050. So these are some important areas of actions that we need in next 30 years. So if you're talking about what are the key objectives, so this summit will bring parties together, and they will mainly talk about actions that need to be taken to achieve our goal of this Paris climate deal, and also United Nations Framework Convention on Climate Change. And next one is United Nations Conference on Environment and Development. It is also known with other names like Earth Summit or Rio Conference. And two other outcomes of this Rio Conference, they were Convention on Biodiversity and Land and as well as United Nations Convention to combat desertification. So these are some important things that we need to remember. And if you're talking about what is this United Nations Framework Convention on this climate change, means it is a multilateral treaty. So this treaty mainly governs actions to combat climate change. So we can combat this climate change through adaptation and as well as mitigation efforts, and is also considered as a parent treaty of both Kyoto Protocol and as well as Paris Climate Deal. So you have to know what is this Kyoto Protocol and what is this Paris Agreement. So we discussed number of times regarding this Paris Climate Deal in our discussions. So here this United Nations Framework Convention on Climate Change, which mainly came into force on 21st March 1994 and also ratified by 197 countries. And India also ratified this United Nations Framework on Convention of Climate Change in year 1993. So these are some important facts. Next topic is about GM rice. So already we discussed background and half of the article it is about yesterday's background itself. So now let us have a detailed discussion regarding this topic. So this article mainly talking about is genetically modified rice. So since June, what happened? The export of about 500 tons of rice from India mainly triggered an uproar in several European countries on the grounds that these rice, broken rice, that is about 500 tons, they are mainly contaminated with this genetically modified rice. So this emerged mainly because of check mainly done by European Commission's Rapid Alert System for Food and Feed, which mainly testing the flour, and after testing of this rice flour they found that it is contaminated by this genetically modified rice. So in June, France issued a notification for unauthorized genetically modified rice flour, which mainly identified India is the origin, India is a point of origin. And after that it alerted number of countries like Austria, Belgium, Czech Republic, Germany, Italy, Netherlands, Poland, Spain, UK and US for possible destination products which is made with this flour. So in what happened recently in August, American food products company, that is Mars, which is mainly fearing regarding the genetically modified rice contamination, and it announced that it was recalling 4 of its products, mainly from this crispy M&M. Okay, so if you're talking about this genetically modified rice, which mainly tagged as organic genetically modified free rice, that is mainly exported from India, it is organic rice. It is one of the high value exports of India. But what happened whenever there is genetically modified rice, which is mainly it is as a one important contaminant here, means it will mainly it mainly having some efforts and as well as some negative impact on our exports as well. So India does not permit this commercial cultivation of genetically modified rice in India, but here there is some genetically modified rice which is mainly growing just for testing purpose as well. So here there is suspicion that this rice from some of these test plots that had been contaminated with this exported product. So a cause of concern here is India's history of crop modification using this genetically modified. It is one of the test plants which is mainly finding the way whether these commercial cultivators before they were formally cleared. So one important cause of concern here is whenever we are going for testing of these genetically modified food crops, before they are clearing, but before they are getting clearances, so in our farms there is growing of this type of genetically modified food that is happening here. So for example, if you see BT cotton, if you are talking about herbicide tolerant cotton varieties, BT brinjal, they are mainly growing in farms, right, in fields. So Indian farmers, they are dependent on mainly exports to these European countries, especially rice here. So whenever there is one threat which is mainly seen due to this genetically modified rice contamination, means it will affect livelihood of farmers. So India, in this context, India need to take a move, and India need to ensure that research into all approaches like genetically modified or non-genetically modified should not become a casualty in this matter of export quality compliances. So we need to focus on that, and here we should ensure that research which should be happen, and we need to ensure that there should be no contamination that will be happen here. So this is gist of this topic. And now let us move on to next topic. It is about national security policy. So this topic is very interesting, and this topic is very much relevant in this present situation. So this topic is important from our polity point of view, which mainly comes under GS paper 2. Now let us try to talk about this topic. So if you see central theme, it mainly says that one, cyber technology becomes a key variable in the defense policies of nation land size or GDP size is irrelevant. So now we are getting a new threat, that is cyber security or cyber technology threats. So here whenever we are having this type of cyber threats here, so defense of that country or defense policies of that country or with what is the land size or what is the GDP, that is irrelevant now in this cyber threats. So if you're talking about national security policy, actually author of this article here, article is our member of parliament member actually. So this article, it is very relevant. So if we're talking about national security concepts, so in this 21st century, it mainly undergone many fundamental changes. So because of these fundamental changes, these threats, for example, cyber threats, they are irrelevant to size of the country, irrelevant to number of people who are living in that country or GDP of that country. So cyber warfare has vastly reduced deterrent values, that means to prevent attack, okay, based on size, based on defense, based on army that country is having, etc. So if you're talking about innovations, so innovations in weapons which mainly moved from stones, actually prehistoric people, they used to use stones mainly to hunt or kill animals, and later on they started using bows and as well as arrows, and later on they came with cannons and as well as guns in 19th century, and now we are using aeroplanes, we are using nuclear bombs and as well as intercontinental missiles, and now in this 21st century there is a one important threat, that is cyber weapons, cyber warfare. So therefore in 21st century, after this cyber technology enters as an important variable in the nation's defense policies, we need to also focus on this cyber security threats as well in our national defense policy. For example, if you're talking about small countries like North Korea and as well as Sri Lanka, they are very, very small if you are comparing with the size of India. So even they are empowered with cyber technologies, and these technology which is relevant or equal to technologies which these developed countries like US, Russia, China, so they are having. So here, because of this geographical land size or GDP size will be irrelevant now in this cyber warfare attacks. So the fundamental changes, they are entirely due to earlier 20th century innovations, for example cyber technology and as well as software developments. So now we are using different technologies like artificial intelligence, drones, robots, satellites, etc. So here these equipments are already in use. So we are going to have large number of cyber security threats. So recently Mumbai power attack, okay, mainly done by China, and not only that, China, many reports says that China is having number of cyber attacks, right? So because of all these things, now national security in this 21st century, that covers not merely overt and covert operations, or not should focus on traditional warfare like bombs, etc. across our borders, but we need to be also critically, we need infrastructure regarding electronic operations and as well as to control remote center, etc. So we need new equipments that will help to deter in this cyber technology or cyber warfare. So we need tracking of those cyber warfare centers, and of adversely we will need new security policy mainly to counter this cyber security attacks. So we need a proper and new security policy. So if you're talking about this new security policy, so here we need, why? Because there is increasing of attacks of cyber warfare. So because of increasing of use of software, because of increasing use of people who are mainly using mobile phones, big data, everything, there is increasing risk of cyber attacks. So because of this, each nation will have to prepare more for bilateral conflicts in this 21st century, and these conflicts, they will be mainly based on cyber attacks. Okay, so here we need proper infrastructure. Earlier wars will be like conventional wars or military blocks, etc., but now it is mainly cyber attacks. So security threat at its root in 21st century, that mainly depend upon the mind-blowing blogging skills in 4 dimensions. So now let us talk about what are those 4 dimensions. First one is we need to talk about objectives, second one is about priorities, and third one it is about strategy, and fourth one it is about resource mobilization. So if we're talking about what are the important objectives, so first one is national security policy. In this 21st century, it need to define what are the assets that are required to defend it, and we need to identify our opponents, and we need proper orientation, and we need proper infrastructure and technology. And this one is priorities. We need to prioritize new departments for supporting several frontiers regarding innovation, technologies, etc. For example, hydrogen fuel cells, desalination of salt water, thorium for nuclear technology, anti-computer viruses, and new immunity creating medicines. So these are some important things we need to prioritize. And in this way, whenever we are coming up with these new priorities, and these new priorities, that will require compulsory science and as well as mathematics education, and we need proper research and development. And next important pillar is strategy. So strategy is very important, and it is required for new national security policy, right? And we need to demonstrate limited preemptive strikes by developing strategies and as well as deterrences. So for India, China cyber capability factor, it is one of the new threat, and we need to devise a new strategy made to counter this type of attacks from China. And last one is resource mobilization. So the macroeconomics of resource mobilization mainly depends whether nation has demand, okay, demand or deficit. So based on that, here government need to take some steps. Government can go for printing of money, or government can decreases interest taxes, and also RBI, banks can also decrease interest rates on bank loans, such that what happened, that will leads to increasing of liquidity in the market, right? So because of increasing the liquidity in the market, that will revive our economic activity, and that will also increases our investment and as well as production. So these are the 4 important priorities. So this is gist of this topic, and I hope it is clear. Now let us try to see some other important articles I found in today's Hindu newspaper. First one, it is about cold crisis. Already I discussed this topic twice, I think so. So because of this, I didn't take this topic for discussion. And next one is about Buddhist tourist circuit, that is Kushinagar. 2 days ago we discussed about this topic in a very great detail, so you can revise that. And next one is Indian team meets Taliban by Prime Minister. So this article I discussed in this yesterday's lecture. It is regarding Moscow format. And next one is about House panel to study border management. So this article mainly talking about this border security forces. I already detailed discussed about this border security forces. And this one is UAE minister assures energy supplies to India. So this article which is regarding yesterday's a new Quad group. Okay, so these are the some important articles that you need to revise and that you need to refer your Hindu newspaper. So by this I am concluding today. I hope you enjoyed this lecture. Please subscribe to my channel and don't forget to like, share and comment my videos. Thank you so much.